Garry Ridge, how are you today?
G'day, Chris. I'm doing great. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. We are so wholeheartedly and happily welcoming you back to the Social Capital Insider interview. You're just the poster person for what we do in so many ways. A leader with a whole lot of heart and head for business at the same time, which is what we love to focus on. And you really redefined in so many ways what it means to run a company with heart and profit as the groundbreaking CEO of WD-40. Leadership rooted in trust, belonging, emotional intelligence, all those great things. But it also led to this amazing 25-year tenure there, where WD-40 became this case study in people-centric and profitable leadership. And the numbers were just crazy. I mean, 93% employee engagement rate. It's no surprise to us that that led to something like a 20% annualized return, a stock price that went up almost 10x. And you did it with this culture, and a great quote that I think is a great place to start, where you said, leadership is about taking care of who is in your charge. And I just love that so much. Where did that come from for starters, and how did you come to have that belief?
Well, the quote I stole it from Bob Chapman from Barry Weinmiller. I was at an event with him and Simon Sinek. It was called Massive many years ago, and he said, it's about leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of the people in your charge. We'd already been on this journey anyhow, Chris. But if I go way back in time, I was 35 years with the company, 25 years as CEO and eventually chairman, as you know. But in 1997, when I got the opportunity to lead the company, our goal was to take the blue and yellow can with a little red top to the world. The brand was a pretty well established brand in the US, and it had sprinkles of business all around the world, but we saw huge potential. And as marketeers and business people, we had a really good strategy to do that. The thing is that strategy alone will not get you success. I later coined the phrase, it's the will of the people times strategy. And what was
Mm.
clear to me was there were many organizations that had very low will of the people. And you could compare that to employee engagement. I think it's a sin that even now employee engagement is at probably an all-time low. About 72% of people who go to work every day are disengaged or actively disengaged. So I was
Mm.
reading the kind of trigger to this was in 1998. I was on a Qantas 747. I was flying from Los Angeles to Sydney. I was 2 o'clock in the morning at 38,000 feet somewhere over the South Pacific Ocean. And I was reading, as you do when you travel, and I read a quote from the Dalai Lama. The quote was, our purpose in life is to make people happy. If we can't make them happy, at least don't hurt them. And I thought,
Mm.
that'd be pretty cool, particularly in business, because I saw a lot of people being hurt in business because of toxic leadership that I observed around me. And then I read another quote from Aristotle, which was, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. And I thought, oh, duh,
Huh.
of course, if people enjoy what they're doing, that they're going to do it better. I still didn't know how to do it. And I got back to San Diego and I read an article in the local newspaper about a master's degree at the University of San Diego. And this master's degree was developed by Dr. Ken Blanchard, who then eventually became my professor and my mentor and my co-author and my dear friend, and the University of San Diego. And I went to an information session, and Ken said, leadership is not only about getting people in the head, it's about getting people in the heart, because we want to count hearts. We don't want to just count heads. And I thought, wow, I got to learn more about this. So I was CEO of a US public company, 2 years in, and I went back to school. I enrolled in a master's degree, and for the next 2 years,
Wow.
every month I went to school, and I
Wow.
was a student of Ken Blanchard and others, and I learned the attributes of servant leadership, which we then implemented in the company. I loved that program so much. I ended up sending 30 people over 25 years through that master's degree so we could embed that learning in the organization, which was fantastic. And I ended up teaching it. I taught in the program for 16 years. I ended up teaching the class on corporate culture because I was so passionate about it. And that's why I now claim I am the dean of dumbassery. Because so, I think there was awareness, and then learning was really important.
So that really points to humility in so many ways. I mean, having the humility to do that and to realize you don't know everything, and to go back to school and learn more. I mean, that's so huge, such a huge lesson. And there's so many of them that you really explicate. You had mentioned Ken Blanchard in the book, helping people win at work, which is the one you co-authored with him. And there was something really great that you said in there. The idea of, don't mark my paper, help me get an A. And this idea of, coaching over judgment. And I think a lot of people sometimes misunderstand, that idea, along with a lot of these other ideas, and misinterpret them as soft, right? That these things are not, these things aren't real. They're just feel good, right? But that's not what you're talking about when you say that kind of thing, right? I mean, there's real value that's generated from that. And it is objective. It's not just some subjective feel good thing, right?
Chris, I laugh because I hear that so often. If creating great cultures was soft, why do we have so many toxic cultures? This is hard work. Culture equals
Mm.
values plus behavior times consistency. And if it was soft, we wouldn't have such crappy employee engagement numbers all around the world. This is hard. This is why we don't do it very well. It's very, very, very hard. And so let's not get confused here about soft. A lot of people, great cultures are not about popcorn, pizza, and parties. They're a lot bigger than that.
So, what are some, just a few? I know you could probably spend 3 hours talking about this, but what are some very real ways of institutionalizing these ideas and these thoughts, into your company, that are rooted in real practices and policies?
Well, number one, you have to have a people first mindset. And you touched on it a bit before, Chris. We need to be coaches, not managers. The number one responsibility of a leader is
Mm.
to be a learner and a teacher. And, we manage bank accounts, we manage inventory. We're not there to manage people. We're there to
Mm.
coach them into a better version of their personal self. You've got to have brave accountability and behavior. Fish rots from the head. So if from the leadership down, you've got to say, we're going to be brave, we're going to hold people accountable, and we're going to make sure that we direct and redirect behavior. You have to have a clearly defined, authentic purpose. I often say, imagine a place where you go to work every day, you make a contribution to something bigger than yourself, you learn something new, you're protected and set free by a compelling set of values, and you go home happy. Happy people create happy families create happy communities create a happy world, and by golly, we need a happier world. You have to have values in the organization. One of the great lessons I learned from Ken is they need to be hierarchical. So your number one or the most important value in the organization needs to be at the top, so that people don't cherry pick the value, because you're going to ask them to use values to make decisions. You have to have a transparent, simple vision. One of the big pillars is you have to take fear out. And that's why we created the learning moment.
Mm.
Most people don't lie in organizations, Chris. They fake and they hide. And the reason they fake and they hide is because of fear. And that fear is created, and I'm just reaching over here to show you who by. This is Alec or Alice, the soul-sucking CEO of Fear Incorporated. And and it's that sort of toxic behavior that creates fear in an organization. And then People have to know and feel like they belong. They have to know and be treated like their work actually matters and makes a difference. Really important. You have to care for them. You have to have candor with them, and candor is no lying, no faking, no hiding. You have to hold them accountable, and you have to make sure that you have a responsibility pledge that takes away from what I call the biggest disease in organizations, the na disease, the finger pointing disease.
Oh my God, that's so powerful. And I love the little the little guy. That's great. Oh God, it scares me even looking at him. Oh my God.
That's the soul sucking CEO.
You said something so powerful in introducing those whole ideas of helping people to be their best selves. And that's an idea that we are so in support of here at the Center for Social Capital, because what we talk about is the concept that people are your greatest asset, not just because they can produce, or not just that because they can do whatever particular job that they were hired to do, but because people are amazing.
Mhm.
And people are this incredible creation that you never know what they can do for you. You never know how they can help you, and allowing them to maximize who they are and their potential. You're going to be pleasantly surprised, potentially all the time. All the time of what they can offer you. That goes probably even well beyond what you may have hired them to do. And
Is there any better joy in life than seeing someone that you may have had the opportunity to give a little lift up to along the way do better? Is there anything better than that? I, it's not a big car or a big office. It's, how do you help people have a better life?
Yeah, and the proof is in the pudding and the profits and whatnot of how doing that leads to more success. And the remarkable thing that I always reflect on is this fact that we are surprised by that, right? Because why would it surprise us by helping people and making a difference in people's lives, that they would want to contribute more towards us and towards the company? It always amazes me that we're surprised by that. Are you surprised by that when you talk to other leaders, that this concept is a novel concept sometimes? Or what's the challenge, in your opinion, with getting other leaders to recognize this?
Um, Number one, they are addicted to short-term results
Mm.
because this is simple, it's not easy, and time is not your friend. You cannot sprinkle fairy dust over an organization and change it. I have a good friend of mine. His name's Charlie Maloof. He owns a, Charlie.
Oh
I
yeah,
think, yeah, he
love
owns,
Charlie.
yeah, he owns a chain of Ashley furniture stores, and he says culture is not a microwavable event. It takes a crockpot approach. It does.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, again, what's my immediate ROI? Well, there is
mm,
no immediate ROI, but there is a very long time reward if you focus on this and work on building a great culture in an organization. And we proved it. When people say to me, it's all soft and there's no return, I say BS. We proved it. We had a
yeah,
compounded annual, as you shared earlier, we had a compounded annual growth rate of total shareholder return of 15% a year. We 7x revenue. We took the brand to 176 countries around the world. We took the market cap from 300 million to 3 billion. We just sold oil in the can. Is that sexy? No,
yeah.
we actually had a purpose, which was to create positive, lasting memories. But it's because we went back to that algorithm that I tell you about. It's the will of the people times strategy. We have plenty of people who are listening to us today who have written magnificent strategic plans. They understand their end market. They know the go-to-market strategy. They know how to identify their consumers. They've done the product is blah, blah, blah. Every beautiful. But if only 30% of their people go to work every day and are executing on that plan, they're going to get 30% value out of the plan. But if 70% or 80%, or in our case, 93% of people were going to work every day, passionately executing against that plan, we're going to get 93% value out of that plan.
Wow.
Duh,
Yeah.
duh.
Yeah. Yeah. That's extraordinary. Um, so I want to just switch gears now to the customer side because you've got this great book that you've just come out with now, your latest book, Any Dumbass Can Do It, Learning Moments from an Everyday CEO of a Multi-Billion Dollar Company. By the way, huge congratulations, already a USA Today, an Amazon bestseller, and so many of your great lessons and everything, are obviously in this. Also, congratulations being named one of the top 50 leadership and management experts in the world. Such a great honor, and we're so honored to be able to continue to have you talk to us about all these wonderful things. But in the latest book, you have this great bit that we actually featured an excerpt from it on the whole idea of the reframing of a toaster, and I just love this incredible description: a love experience delivery system.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I think we put that in the headline, in fact, because it was just so provocative, and I just love that term, a love experience delivery system. Tell our viewers a little bit more about what you mean by that, and why you use that description.
Well, I think we're talking about, the difference between what's our purpose and what do we actually deliver. So if you said, what's the purpose of a toaster? You'd say to toast bread. But what does the toaster actually do? It delivers you a love experience delivery system, right? And, again, I just want to touch on something too, because I'm often asked, what the hell is this title of this book? Any dumbass can do it. And there's something behind that, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before or not, but the word ASS in Australia does not mean someone's bottom or posterior. It means a donkey.
Okay.
So, and there's a really really strong correlation between a donkey and great leadership. Let me share it with you, because donkeys get a bad rap. People think they're stubborn or slow, but here's the truth. Donkeys are steady. They'll keep going long after others give up. They're loyal companions. You can count on them when the road gets tough. They're practical, not flashy. They know how to conserve energy and to get the job done. And while they might not always rush into things, that caution often keeps them safe. So when I say any dumbass can do it, what I really mean is you don't have to be brilliant to be a great leader. You just need a bit of courage, a lot of care, and the humility to keep learning. Because like the donkey, leadership isn't about showing off. It's about carrying the load, sticking with the journey, and helping others get to where they need to go.
So, talking about sticking with the journey, our wonderful technical lights just went off. So, you're going to have to give me 1 second while I stand up and try
And
to make them
wave.
come back on again.
Oh, wow.
So, we live in this amazing world of technology where everything is incredible, but our lights go off for no reason.
I was going to say, Chris, you better pay the bill.
Right? Exactly. Uh, Sticking with the journey is it's such a powerful metaphor to go back to that very thing that you talked about, right? The idea that it's not short term. This is long term. And I did not know that about donkeys, although we have these great donkeys that take you down into the Grand Canyon here.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed at how incredibly loyal and they don't get scared. They just keep going, you know.
Yeah.
I would be terrified and be jumping, you know, just bucking whoever was on top of me or whatever was on top of me. So it is an incredible metaphor. And when you think about the idea of sticking with it, you know, let's talk about that from a perspective of sales, for instance. It sounds like what you did when it came to WD-40 is you tried very hard and successfully to come up with long-term ideas, not just quick, easy stunts to to motivate sales or whatnot. And you talk a lot about this experience, right, of WD-40. Um, what made you think that that kind of thing would work? The love delivery system, right? As you talk about it, I mean, where did this idea come from to say, you know, we can turn our product, which, like you say, was just oil in a can. I mean, how did you think that this could be a love delivery experience? Because I mean, that's a big leap when you think about it.
Well, our purpose statement was we exist to create positive, lasting memories, solving problems in factories, homes, and workshops around the world. And which, when you connect it to the people at the company, do you want to stop a squeak or do you want to create a positive, lasting memory? And at the end of the day, all we have in life is memories. Now,
Mm,
interestingly enough, when we talked about the product, more than often, people would tell us, I remember when. I remember when I was growing up on the farm with granddad and we are out in the
mm,
paddock fixing the plow. I can still remember the smell of WD-40, which reminds me of granddad. Or, a guy would say, I remember when I was a hero in the eyes of my wife's husband or significant other because, that problem that wasn't solvable, I went and got that blue and yellow can with a little red top and I solved the problem. Or, I remember when as a tradesman, I was working on a car or a mechanic and, it saved me 4 hours of work because I was able to loosen this and whatever. So, taking the product attributes and turning them into memory making was really very, very clear to us as being a great way to link the product to the purpose to the people.
and that perfectly punctuates it for us, right? Because we're always talking about people centric and the idea that it's not about your product, but how it affects people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, right? I mean, it's people that buy your product, and if you cannot affect those people in an incredibly positive way,
They'll
then
go
what's
buy
the
someone
whole
else's
point, right?
product. They'll go buy
Yeah,
someone else's product.
yeah. So, you know, what do you tell other leaders when they might get stuck on the product features rather than the human impact? You know, how do you get them out of that?
Well, I asked them to think about what will your product do that will actually get embedded in the minds of those that use it. Like, is the iPhone an iPhone? No, it's not. You could call it what, it's a bit like Simon Sinek, and Simon, as you know, is a friend of mine, and it's not what you do or how you do, it's why you do it. And so what is your, not what your product does, but why is your product, what's the why of your product, which was which is so strong. So I think they just have to think about it and, really challenge themselves that how do we create a purpose statement or a why statement that resonates with the people in our organization, resonates with our customers and our end users.
And it's not just about creating that idea or branding, right? I mean, because if you're really doing that, you're actually going to be very focused on the quality
Yeah, yeah.
of your product as well, right?
Yeah, you've got to deliver. That
Yeah.
that's the promise.
Did that have a lot to do with, at one point, I think there were some ingredients, right, in WD-40 that might have been carcinogenic or might have had some effects. And I think you made a decision to remove those, right?
There was never any ingredients that were in the product that were carcinogenic. However, I think what you're referring to is a decision that one of our people could have made to replace one of the ingredients with an ingredient that was a Prop 65 ingredient that would have saved us millions of dollars,
Ah, okay.
but
Okay.
but that person was empowered to make decisions by using our values. And our first value was we valued doing the right thing. Our second value was we value creating positive, lasting memories in all of our relationships. And they were able to say, we're not going to make that decision because cancer does not create any positive, lasting memories.
Yeah. That's a great anecdote, actually, and an incredible one. Um, it changes everything if you think about your product like that. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I love that whole idea. Um, so you stepped down after many years, obviously. Um, you could have done this for another 20 years. You're incredibly vital. You're doing so much now with your own speaking and your own thought leadership company. What made you decide to step down at the time that you did? And how do you assure when you do step down that the company continues to do business in this people centric way, not just in thoughts or ideas, but in actual action?
Well, I stepped down because that's my responsibility. We spent many years building a very solid leadership bench, and it would be very greedy of me to sit
Mm.
in the bench when we had people who had the opportunity to lead. And of course, when I still stepped down, a lot of dominoes fell over. And that was great because we had people to fill in all those places. So, I loved what I did. I was there for, as you know, 35 years and 25 years in the role, but it was wrong for me to covet that. I needed to give those that I had the privilege to lead the opportunity to lead on. And how do you do the best you can to ensure that the culture continues? Well, there's a simple answer to that. The culture wasn't me.
Mm.
I planted the seed. The tree was very, very well grown through watering and nurturing by many people by the time I left. So it would take someone to come in and deliberately try to chop that tree down to change the culture. So that's why that was so vital in what we did.
Well, this is incredible, and there's just so many lessons in this. And I really would advise everybody to get your latest book and as well as your past books, and to go to your website as well. Let everybody know what your actual website is now. It's the Learning Moment. Is it .com or .net?
.net, www.thelearningmoment.net, or follow me on LinkedIn. I have a bunch of people follow me there, and as you well know, because I see you interacting with me there, Chris, I post a couple of times a week, and all my posts are meant to be thought-provoking or sharing lessons that I've learned along the way. So we do that. I coach, I think 8 or 10 CEOs right now, which I really enjoy. And my purpose now is I help leaders build cultures of belonging where love, forgiveness, and learning inspire a happy, more connected world. So if I can touch organizations through coaching and sharing with leaders my scar tissue, and that sends more people home happy, then there's a chance we will make this world a little happier, and that would be a good thing.
I love it when somebody I'm interviewing already answers my next question, which you just did, which was, "What's your greatest joy about doing, what you do now?" So that's a wonderful answer, and I can attest to the fact that you are very personally committed to this in so many ways, shapes, and forms. You respond so heartily to so many people on your LinkedIn who are reaching out and who are commenting, which is a tremendous sign, not just of your humility, but of your, earnestness in what you talk about and why you talk about it. So we are very blessed to, have you writing articles for us and giving us your time like you did today. And so once again, Garry, thank you so much for what you do. And, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today and share all these incredible nuggets of wisdom with our viewers. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Chris. And may I say thank you for what you do, because without having the amplification that you help get the message out there, this work would be useless. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. All right. We will look forward to talking with you again soon, and take care till then.
Cheers.